Okay, so what do you do when you are exhausted, you're feeling drained, but you still need to show up for your business? Your business basically still needs you. In this episode, I am going to share with you three things, easy, simple things you can do to help you stay consistent when you are exhausted, but you still need to show up for your business. Hey guys, welcome back to my show, my podcast. Now, before we dive into today's episode, which is all about staying consistent even when life is basically lifing. When things are happening, we are exhausted, we are finding it hard to show up. How do we still stay consistent in our business, especially the first few years? I'm talking the first 2 years at least. How do we maintain that in a way that feels sustainable? Before we dive into it, a quick background on me. I'm Isa-Welly. I am a business mentor and strategist for well-being practitioners that are looking to build a profitable business online using their skills. Prior to that, I spent 10 years, if not more, in the well-being industry myself as a Pilates teacher, a registered nutritional therapist, a life and well-being coach, a content creator, and I loved it, but I naturally evolved into mentoring because I am passionate about business, about marketing, and I'm not a gatekeeper. I want to show you how I built my own, business, how I created dozens of courses across nutrition, Pilates, mindset, and some were incredible because they changed my income overnight, and some were the biggest flops ever. But hey, I've learned so much from every single one of my offers, every single one of my flops, all the things I've created, all the things I've tried. And that's why I can stand here and share with you what has worked, what didn't, and also what is happening right now on the market. So stay tuned in, stay here if you want some grounded, soulful, but also strategic advice for you to grow with ease. All right, so let's dive into today's topic. I want to talk about something, important that every business owner goes through, but we rarely talk about it is what do we do when we just don't have it in us, when we just don't have it in us to show up, to show up when we're like, oh my God, because life happens, if you are around my age, which is 42 in a month. Can't believe it. You probably have some parents that are getting older. If you still have even that privilege, you still have your parents. Obviously, not everybody's parents is older, depending what age your parents are. You may or may not have kids, family, even just running your business, and also our own mental health and emotional health in the world we are today. It's such a fast-paced world with so much awful things happening. You can go online any given time and just feel that wave of sadness and anger and frustration and all the things that you see, and you have to kind of pretend all is well and keep going. And so it is normal for us to sometimes feel drained, for our energy to be low. And that's not really the point of this video, isn't to discuss that, because I think it's valid and we have to give ourselves the space to feel those things. I know that I've been there many times in the past few years throughout my career, but even more so in the past 2-3 years, where I just didn't have it in me to show up, especially go online and show your camera, and show up on camera and speak when you're just feeling low, and people can feel that energy. I've been there too. So if you've been there, I see you, and this is not a place to feel bad about it. But I just want to give you some strategies and some tips, because at the end of the day, if you are in the phase of building in your business, you want to be as consistent as you can. Yes, to always prioritizing our health or well-being, our mental peace, our families, and seeing how we can balance that all with our business. Because, one of my philosophy and what I really believed in, and also what really I'm so passionate about, is that belief that we are here to build, especially if you are a soul-led entrepreneur that believes in feeling aligned, doing things you love from a place of from a soulful place. I really believe that we are here to build businesses that help us grow, but that help us live the life, that support the life we want to live. Not we are have this business is completely draining us, and we have this kind of side hustle thing that is our life, right? Your life is the main thing, and everything you build around it should support that. And I know it's easier said than done. I know. I've been there too, right? But we're learning, right? We're learning and we're growing, and our business should be also that kind of self-development path. So, three simple things. So, this conversation that I'm sharing with you today was inspired by a session with one of my clients. She's a yoga teacher, and she wants her business to grow. She really wants this to work for her. You know, we are creating so she does yoga and meditation mainly, and she's also an artist, so the way she blends her work is very specific, it's very beautiful, very unique to her. She's also an empath, so highly sensitive, and she wants to create resources for highly sensitives, for empath, and so I'm supporting her in that. And one of the things that came up in our conversation is, how does she stay consistent when life is going, crazy? Especially as a highly sensitive, she just feels hard, And recently she has felt very challenged in her personal life, with her family, with things going on. And she just has not been able to show up for herself, let alone for her business. And she does see the impact it has, in terms of loss of momentum and feeling like you have to start again, and things just get a little bit harder. And the thing is, you can't force that. If your energy is down, you don't even feel creative, right? And I know you're going to relate to this if you've ever felt that way, where you just don't have it in you and you don't feel creative. The thing is not happening. And what happens in those cases where you feel like that, not just for like a few days, but for a long season, for a long period of time, because yeah, maybe your parents are unwell or whatever it is, how do we still show up when your heart is heavy, right? Here are three things that I do and I've done in the past to anticipate those times, to make sure that the days where showing up is too hard, I don't have to show up, first of all, or I do it in a way that is sustainable. Number one is to batch and repurpose. Batch prep your content when your energy is high. I've always batched films, batch prepped, especially when I shared Pilates videos on YouTube every week. I wasn't going in the studio and filming every day. That was just would not be sustainable, and especially because you rent your studio for a day at a certain price, so you want to get as much done. So I would film 6 classes sometimes, at least 4, but between 4 and 8. So I kind of kept that. And what that does is that I always have something to share, something to say, something I've already created, even on the days where I don't actually want to be on camera. Like, I don't want to show up. I can just stay consistent with my schedule. So if it's every week or twice a week that I share, say on Instagram or any other platform, I have that. Same for my emails. I have so many ideas once I'm in the flow. I could put like 5 super great ideas on my emails for September, and something else might come in. I'm like, oh no, let's talk about this because I think it's interesting, or I really want to share these with them. What that means is I ended up having 6, 7 emails or ideas that I could quickly write up. And same goes for these videos. I usually record. I don't go too far in advance with these because I like filming them fresh. But I could film 2 or 3 in a go sometimes. And then the week after, if I'm still super inspired, I'm like, oh, let me film these 2 things before I forget. So sometimes I can have like 4 or 5 episodes ready ahead of time. And that is so good, because the days where you can't show up, like for me, if my daughter is sick of nursery for a week, I'm not stressing. I'm not thinking, oh, yes, it can happen that you have a little deadline, but mostly I have something there then that my assistant, for example, can tweak a little bit and then put out there for me. So don't wait for the perfect moment. If you have energy, if you're setting up for to create something, just batch it, batch create for the next month, for example, or the next 2 weeks, or record the class, like write the post, do those things, and keep them on the side. That way, you're basically building a bank of content you can lean on later. Number two is to put systems in place for those rainy days. If you feel like you're coming to a period where you're exhausted or something is up with yourself, with your family, you can take a few minutes and schedule the content we were talking about in the point one that you may have batch prep. You can schedule that ahead of time. That is even better because you don't even need to like open your app or your laptop. It just goes out for you. So that's a way to do it. You can have some resources that are evergreen. So, if you have an opt-in and a freebie, your welcome email sequence can be automated. You can then go into a low ticket offer, or, anything like that. Anything you can automate, you can put systems in place for. And one of the things as well is if you are selling, if you are in with your modality, your business requires you to kind of sell every day and you have to do that and you don't have the systems in place, make sure that at the end of each piece of content you have, you say, hey, I have these, do that. That's what I do. I don't show up online, say on Instagram and say, hey, buy from me today, buy from me today. I mean, I do, but in a way that is kind of subtle, and I trust my contents that are online, whether it's here or my emails or my podcast, to do also the heavy lifting for me. So I make sure I mention what I have going on at that time because people are going to be listening to that all the time. So what system can you put in place for those days where you just don't feel like showing up, but you know that you still want to make some sales and grow your list? Or I want to say something as well. There might be times where you don't care, actually. You don't want to do any of it. You don't even want to automate. You don't even want to do anything. You just want to go like silent, go missing, out of the online or out of your business. That is okay too. That is fine. That is absolutely fine too. And then the third point is to give yourself some grace. I think consistency is very different from being on every day. Don't beat yourself up or judge yourself because you're going through a period where you feel low and you find it hard and you want to protect your emotional wellness, your mental peace. You just want to step back a little bit. Don't beat yourself up for that. If anything, acknowledge it, congratulate yourself for doing it, and for prioritizing your health and well-being. That is very different from being on and off and on and off and being inconsistent with how you show up. These are two completely different things. And if you are in a phase of your life where maybe this year is not the year for you to go out there and start building a business, if you know, wow, I've had a tough year, or I'm having a tough year ahead, perhaps I have to move in with my parent, or do you know what I mean? Like something like that. Perhaps the best thing to do is let me post this, or let me just build a community. It's going to be irregular. It's going to be like that, but I'm going to accept it, and it is what it is. Be honest with yourself as well, because I think it's when we decide to, okay, I'm going to show up, I want to do this thing, we don't acknowledge life, what's really happening in our lives. We don't acknowledge it. We're like, no, don't worry, I can make it work. And we're not making it work because we are humans, right? We feel bad. We judge ourselves. We're like, I'm lazy. Look at so and so. They're showing up. Blah, blah, blah. Be honest with yourself. Give yourself grace and be honest with yourself from the beginning. How can I show up this month or this year? Is that being realistic with everything I have going on in my life, in my head, with the person that I am? How can I make this work that is still consistent within in my own standard? How can I still make this work? Or is it time to pause and not make it work? And remember, a thing is that you want to build a business from the get-go that feels sustainable, but also that is here to support you, not drain you. In each season of your life, in every single season of your life. Some season of my life, I became a mother. I went through it for 2 years. I just couldn't show up. I couldn't do one-to-one. I didn't have client. I didn't go out there and trying to get client and be consistent with that. I just didn't have that oomph in me, that energy. I was rebuilding mentally. I was discovering who I was. I was as a mother. There was so much happening. I felt low, but I'm a high functional, high functional, feel low person. Now that I look back, I was like, girl, how did you do that? You know? But I'm so happy that I didn't try to force certain things. Actually, I'm lying to you because I did take on a one-on-one client very early. They was still in health and well-being, and she wasn't the right client for me, and she left after a month in her contract. And I remember thinking, wow, this is a very good lesson from the universe. I wasn't meant to take this client. I knew I shouldn't have taken her because it's not even the kind of person I wanted to work with. She was a model, so loads of issues around foods and blah, blah, blah. So it was a bit more of a deep work. And I remember thinking, okay, really listen to your intuition and trust that you will be fully supported financially, even if you don't take, high ticket one-to-one client. And I was, because I ended up doing a lot more content creation for brands, a few things here while I was rebuilding, and that was financially sustainable. It really supported me, and I enjoyed it for the time I did it, and that was fine, So I was, I guess, fortunate to be able to navigate in between, the skills that I have, and being able to, okay, I can still do the videos, but I don't want to do one-to-one because it's like heavy. Do you know what I mean? So give yourself some grace and be honest with yourself. Right. Let's recap this. So, 3 things to put in place when you are drained, when you are feeling exhausted. Number 1 is to batch when your energy is high. If you get up, you're energized, you're like, today I want to create loads of content, go for it. Create it, save it for the next day. If you want to do more the next day, go it, save it, save it, save it. Number 2 is to put systems in place to deliver that content for you when you don't want to show up. Your automations on emails, simply scheduling your post wherever they have to go. If you have someone helping you, perhaps you can hire someone, a VA for just even 5 hours a month to do certain things, especially those months or weeks where you're like, you know what, I need someone to help me. It doesn't have to be a full-time person. And last but not least is to, give yourself some grace and be honest with yourself on how can I show up really truly, what's ahead of me right now, and how can I show up, how do I want to show up for it. And it's okay because it's my way, it's my business, it's my life. I'm building it so it supports me. And that's it for today. I hope that this resonated with you. If it did, please like, subscribe, share this episode with a friend. It'll really help me grow the show here on the platform and bring more soulful and strategy to soul-led well-being entrepreneurs that just want to grow a business that supports their life. There are links in the show notes on how I can support you one-to-one, some great free resources that I also have for you. If you have an offer out there that is not selling, or you're in the building phase of your business and you're wondering what are the shifts that I need to make this work, I have an incredible resource for that as well. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next episode.